This sounds like science fiction, but it's already real. AI is being used to create fake women, scam thousands of people, and steal real faces for explicit content. So here's the question: what if the next face is yours? The clips we are about to watch paint a deeply unsettling picture, one that feels like it was taken straight out of an episode of Black Mirror, and that day by day is becoming more and more real. I've been wanting to make a video about this for quite some time because it's a subject that deserves attention, but what finally pushed me to do it was the clip that I'm about to show you. Right after watching it, I immediately started digging deeper. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's begin with the first clip of today's video.
What's happening on TikTok right now should absolutely terrify you, because there are hundreds of accounts out there just like this one who are blowing up out of nowhere. Like this account right here, I'm sure everyone's already seen it. This account was created on December 21st. In just 12 days, they gained over 2 million followers. And a lot of these videos had over 100 million views. One of the videos had like 350 million. And I would look at the comments on all these videos and they'd be like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. Your skin is amazing. Wow, wow, wow. But there's just one big problem with that, because none of it is real. It is 100% AI taken from a template and just plopped onto this, acting like it's a brand new person. And hundreds of millions of people fell for it. And since this morning, this account was taken down on TikTok, but it's still up on Instagram. You can see all the comments except for one are just saying the same thing. Oh my God, you're beautiful, you're gorgeous, wow. And this just goes back to what I was talking about yesterday and proves the point even more. Imperfection on social media is the new perfection, because anything that is too perfect, you're going to be skeptical of now. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Do not use AI to completely replace you. If you're going to use it, still be yourself, still be imperfect, but find the best strategies for hooks, for scripting, whatever it may be. But what just happened with this was a pretty terrifying social experiment.
So, Evan talked about a TikTok profile under the name Nia Noir, which no longer exists today as it was removed by TikTok after intense scrutiny regarding its authenticity. Users had started noticing several flaws that are typical of AI-generated content: unnatural fingers, unconvincing skin textures, strange backgrounds, and distorted elements within the videos. All of these signs gradually raised stronger and stronger doubts that the girl behind the profile wasn't real. And in fact, she isn't. However, the corresponding Instagram profile is still active, and it has a massive following, nearly 600,000 followers. There's also a particularly interesting detail in the bio. It reads, "Chat me here," an invitation to click on an external link clearly designed to draw users' attention toward it. And that link is not there by accident. It was created with a very specific purpose, one that I personally find disturbing. For now, I'm going to ask you to simply keep this detail in mind. We'll come back to it later. What I find genuinely surprising is that so many people still haven't realized that this is not a real person, but an AI-generated figure. It's true that artificial intelligence is becoming increasingly advanced, and in a way that it's, quite frankly, concerning. It's getting better and better at replicating reality, making it harder to distinguish what's real from what isn't. But at least for now, I still believe it's possible to tell the difference between an avatar and a real person. And I'm not the only one.
How are people so bad at identifying AI? What do you mean you saw this and said, yeah, it looks good? These videos have hundreds of millions of views, and somehow nobody saw the presence under the tree. Or the tree, or her. Like, nobody's fingertips look like that. Look at the phone case. Look at the center of the phone case where they tried to put the Apple logo. Like, a good rule of thumb, if all of their videos are under 15 seconds, there's no brands in anything, they're never talking, their jeans look like that should be a red flag, man.
Now, it's important to acknowledge that many of these profiles may be buying followers and comments, meaning that part of the engagement could come from bots. However, later in the video, I will show you clear evidence that this is not just artificial traffic. Many real people have genuinely fallen into this trap. And yes, I used the word trap deliberately, because these profiles are not created out of a simple interest in artificial intelligence. They are built with a very specific goal: to generate profit for the people behind them. And it's precisely this awareness that allows us to close the introduction and move into the core of the video. We'll do that through 3 chapters, each representing a different way these profiles are used to make money. Let me be very clear. All of them are ethically questionable, and we'll analyze them in increasing order of severity until we reach the most disturbing one. By now, we've established something fundamental. These avatars are not created without a purpose. There is always a clear goal behind them, and that goal is financial. The person running these accounts is making money from them. In this first chapter, we'll start with a relatively mild example. This is the Instagram profile of Amara. If we look at the bio, we can see that she is available for collaborations, along with a contact email. That immediately tells us what the intention behind this profile is: to create a fully functioning influencer, and as a result, to generate income through the standard mechanisms of the influencer industry: advertising, sponsorships, brand partnerships, and so on. And judging by the numbers, it's working very well. Just look at the views: 1.2 million, 1.6 million, and this video even surpasses 20 million views. Let's take a look at it together. To me, even in this case, it's quite obvious that we are looking at an avatar. Personally, I don't find it realistic at all. And yet, if you read the comments, it becomes immediately clear that not everyone sees it that way. For example, one comment says almost paradoxically, "She looks like AI because she's too perfect." In the comment section, many people are interacting with Amara as if she were a real woman. One user writes, "She's so lucky to have a skin tone like that. By the way, she's so pretty." And the account replies, "Appreciate it," exactly as a real person would. And this is the core issue. There is a clear intention to appear human, a deliberate effort to conceal the fact that this is artificial. To me, this resembles the logic behind celebrity fan pages, especially for public figures who don't have official social media account. There's often one main page that everyone follows, but it clearly states it's a fan page, so you choose to follow it knowingly. Here, that transparency is completely absent, and when there is an active attempt to present an avatar as a real person, we are looking at a deliberate intent to mislead. And as we'll see, that is exactly what's happening. At this point, we can define the first major aspect of this phenomenon. We are witnessing the rise of Instagram and TikTok profiles managed by real people who are not using their real faces or their real content, but instead they rely on AI-generated avatars. This is not just a perception. A 2024 study titled "Characteristics and Prevalence of Fake Social Media Profiles with AI-Generated Faces" found measurable evidence of this phenomenon, identifying over 1,400 accounts using AI-generated faces and estimating a prevalence of up to 0.044% of active users, equivalent to roughly 10,000 such accounts active every day. Anyway, in this first case, we've seen one method of monetization, using these avatars as influencers, generating income through the traditional tools of content creation. We'll close this first chapter here. It was intentionally brief because this is the least problematic form among the ones we'll analyze. Now we move on to the next two chapters, where things become significantly more serious. Let's look at the second way these AI-generated accounts are used to make money. The first method, as I mentioned, is the classic influencer approach. Whether this is ethical or not can be debated. In my view, it isn't. Not when transparency is missing. If it were openly stated that the character is an avatar, then it will be a different conversation. But this second method is something else entirely. It is a scam and it's spreading everywhere. I keep seeing it constantly on Instagram, on TikTok, over and over again. There are countless profiles built around this exact model, selling courses to teach you how to create these AI-generated avatar accounts, with the promise that by buying the course, you too will be able to make extraordinary amounts of money every month and even change your life. Let's start with a first example, which is also interesting for another reason. Among all the profiles I found, this is the only one run by a woman, supposedly. All the others are run by men, and we'll talk about the implications of that later in the video. For now, let's watch the following video. In this case, we are looking at a creator who presents an avatar and says very clearly, "This is Navia, she's not real. I built her 4 months ago and she helped me make multiple 5 figures since." At first glance, this seems transparent, but we need to be careful. That transparency appears precisely at the moment when it helps sell a course. Anyway, I took a closer look at her profile, which is called Faceless Digital Marketing, and in the bio she says she has over 450 creators in her community. I checked her stories, both the daily ones and the highlights, and that's where I found some very interesting information. The first thing I wanted to understand was, of course, the price of the course she's selling. In the highlights, someone asks her directly, "How much is the monthly cost for the tools you teach inside the course?" Right away, we realize that this is not a one-time payment, but a monthly cost to access the tools she offers. Her answer is around $90 per month, which is actually a rather clever way of saying almost $100 per month. It's the same logic as $9.99 in a supermarket. Psychologically, it feels lower, but in reality is literally $10. And in fact, in one of her daily stories, you can clearly see that someone had just purchased the package and was paying $97. So yes, we are much closer to 100 than to 90. In another highlighted story, she says she made over $72,000 without ever showing her face using AI-generated content, and that she now teaches others to do the same. And that is very likely true, because if she claims to have over 450 people in her community, each paying around $100 per month, we're talking about approximately $45,000 per month, an enormous amount, completely out of the ordinary. But the promise that you can earn the same amount is deeply misleading, because those $72,000 were not generated by the content itself. If you look at her profile, you'll notice that all of her videos are focused on promoting the course. The money she makes doesn't come from building a successful AI influencer. It comes from selling the course. And that difference is enormous, because then the question becomes, if I don't want to sell a course, how do I make the money? And the answer is very simple. I don't, because she doesn't make it that way either. From her highlighted stories, another pattern also emerges, one that closely resembles MLM structures. This creator clearly targets other women, especially mothers. She talks about having more time to spend with her child, as she herself is the mother of a very young baby. In doing so, she creates an emotional connection with other women in the same situation. Women who want to balance and high income with being present for their children. The empathy is being used as a sales tool. In fact, by leveraging this completely legitimate desire to be present for one's children, she ends up taking around $100 per month from these families, perfectly knowing that those families won't earn a single penny. And this exact same pattern is repeated everywhere. Let me briefly show you some other examples. There is this TikTok profile under the name Arild, which we'll also see again in the next chapter. In the bio, it says, "Turning AI influencers into cash. Start here," followed by the usual link. If you click on it, you find the classic promise. The step-by-step system to make $10,000 per month with AI influencers. Another profile, Luca Create AI, as in its bio, "Building income with AI creators," and "Learn how I make my videos look so realistic" below. If you click the link, you find AI identity swap blueprint. The discounted price is 24 euros, and it is claimed that 812 people have purchased it. A quick calculation makes it clear. That's nearly 20,000 euros in profit. Let me show you an example that I find even more unsettling, because it doesn't just show the possibility of altering someone's appearance, but also their voice.
Work when I speak as well. I have not tried that before, so let me try it and see what it looks like.
Once again, you go to the profile, read the bio, find the link to the program, the community, the monthly subscription, and the mechanism is identical. If you have 160 members paying $99 per month, you're making around $15,000 monthly. But once again, that money doesn't come from having built a successful AI influencer. It comes from selling others the promise that they can do it. And here I want to be very clear. I'm not questioning the fact that someone with real expertise in artificial intelligence can sell a course. That in itself is not the issue. The problem arises when the course is sold through deception, through what is in fact a real scam. One last example. During my research, I came across this video where it says, "She's AI, she made $20,000 this month, she took me 5 minutes to create." But what I find more interesting is another video, published by the same creator.
And I have made over $100,000 in the last 30 days online. The funniest thing is I got kicked out of school with 0 GCSEs and I did not go to university. And somehow I probably make my old teacher's salary in like 2 weeks. Before you scroll, I do not do dropshipping, I do not do crypto, and I don't do day trading. I do something which is extremely new and probably the easiest it's ever been. I am combining one of the biggest markets in human history with AI. I'm building fully AI-generated Instagram models. This picture here is AI. They post content online and monetize their audience the exact same way big creators like Sophie Rain and all these other Instagram models do. You know what I'm talking about. Except the model isn't even real. She is completely AI generated. And by replicating their exact business, but with an AI model instead, I've been able to make not only a shit ton of money, but all of the profit goes to me because the model doesn't exist. And no, you do not need to be some sort of AI genius to be able to do this. Like I said, I literally have no degrees in anything. Things are evolving so fast right now with AI. It is so easy to create one of these AI models in under 5 minutes. And if you watch any of my other content, you can see exactly how to do it. And for all of you young guys out there who grew up on the internet and understand social media, you already know what type of content to post for this. It's just being able to use AI to create that that content. And once you have attention, just set up a fan view account where they fully support AI generated content. So this is 100% legal. And then you are able to capitalize on one of the most profitable industries on the entire internet without showing your face, without being on camera, and without anyone even knowing it's you. Like I said, in the last 30 days alone, one of my AI models has made over $100,000. Now, don't get me wrong, that is not normal. I have one of the biggest AI models on the internet, but making 5K, 10K, 20K, that's possible. And honestly, a lot easier than you think. This guy in my group just proved it. He had one guy spend $15,000 on his AI model. Like, this shit is ridiculous, but it works. The problem is, the more people that find out about this and the more AI models that flood these platforms, the harder it becomes. That's why the earlier you get in, the easier it is. And right now, we're still in this window of opportunity where you can launch an AI model and make money relatively quickly. So I put together a completely free training that breaks down how this whole system works. And I'll be honest, the content generation part of it is a little bit outdated. The rest of it always stays the same, but I'm dropping a new one soon. So if you want access to this free training and the new one when it comes out, just comment the word group down below and I'll send it over to you.
I want you to notice a marketing technique they use very often: artificially creating urgency. They try to rush the viewer, the potential customer, into acting immediately. The message is always something like, more and more people are entering this space, so if you don't act now, you'll miss the opportunity. The longer you wait, the less you'll earn. You need to start now. This urgency doesn't exist in reality, but it's constructed in the mind of the viewer because a person who feels urgency thinks less clearly, analyzes less, and is more likely to buy. So I would strongly encourage you, whenever you see this tactic being used, no matter the industry, be cautious. When a product truly has value, it doesn't need to be sold through pressure or psychological manipulation. But there is another important detail. Notice something. So far, we've seen mostly men behind these profiles, only one woman, and yet the avatars they use are always female. And in the next chapter, we'll understand why. At this point, we come to the third method of profit. And here, I want to be completely clear. We are entering something that is literally disgusting, and we get there gradually, starting with this video.
Let's expose this AI account ripping real people off. I'll reveal how the scam works, and it's going to get pretty weird. Step 1 is to grab a source video. Maddie Quinn steals from real creators both because it's easy and stealing real women's videos makes the character feel more believable. It's all unethical anyway. Step 2 is to generate the avatar, usually with a photo AI model. I'm just gonna steal her model because she's a fake AI person. I don't feel bad about it at all. Step 3 is just to generate the video. This scam uses the WAN 2.2 replace model. It's open source and very easy to use. I'll use this video you're seeing right now, but they use the stolen ones, then take the Maddie Quinn avatar in my case, and we get this. I hate this so much, but here we are. This account is totally run by a dude. Look at that message. And the Snapchat is Diddy Lovers 67. That's giving pretty bad vibes. And no, this is not success. If you made money scamming old people with a fake tech support scam, are you successful or just not broke? Now replace old people with lonely men, and that's how we get here. I hope the allure is gone. Feel free to send me more accounts to expose, because they make these a bunch of different ways.
In this video, we understand one thing very clearly. In order to make avatars as realistic as possible, they are based on real people. Look at the real influencer and look at the avatar. In theory, the influencer should only serve as a model, but in practice they are identical. And this is where an extremely serious scenario opens up. These avatars, built on the faces and bodies of real women, are then used to create pornographic content and profit from it. Before entering this topic, let's pause for a moment on one comment. Can even be mad. I mean, if it's easy to do, then go for it. This is a completely insane line of reasoning. Let me ask a very simple question. If they used your face to create pornographic content, or violent content, or humiliating content, would you be fine with it? Would you say, well, it was easy to do and money could be made from it, so fair enough? Or would it feel like an extremely serious violation? The fact that easy money can be made doesn't make a practice legitimate, because easy money can be made in many different ways, including stealing. But I don't see people going around saying that stealing is right or smart. And yet, when it comes to artificial intelligence and social media, suddenly everything seems to become justifiable. And at this point, let's go back to the first profile we saw at the beginning of this video. Noir. Do you remember that I told you to keep that famous link in mind? Good, because now you'll understand why by watching this video.
Someone is using my video to promote their OnlyFans account. I don't know. I just saw someone take my video, AI'd it to make me black, and that video got 45 million views and 3 million likes. My video didn't even get that many views. Is this legal? Can someone tell me if I can do anything about it? Because that makes me feel weird.
So we've come to understand that one of the videos from the profile of Noir was created starting by the image of this real girl. The only modification made was darkening her skin tone, but the face is hers. It's literally her. Clicking on that famous link takes you to a page advertising exclusive content that is clearly pornographic material. You can read your midnight obsession and exclusive content. The intention is absolutely obvious. Do you understand how serious this is? A real girl ends up having her image used without consent to sell pornographic content. And do you remember when I said it seemed impossible that so many people had fallen for the profile of Noir? Well, in this case, the comment section proves that they were not just bots. A huge number of people wrote comments like, "Bro, I even liked the video, thought it's real." Or, "Sorry girl, I liked it too, thought she was real." "Oh, even I liked that video. Bro, I liked it, I thought it was real." This proves that many people were genuinely convinced they were looking at a real person. I also want to address two comments that, in my opinion, deserve a very direct response. Let me begin with a premise. Those who follow my channel know that I am the first to think critically about the world of influencers. I have entire playlists dedicated to overconsumption, the problems of social media, influencer culture, scams, etc. That said, there are two comments that I absolutely find unacceptable. The first one says, "Oh no, you're telling me that people can't make money and views anymore by just being pretty, and that now an AI can do it. Oh no, so sad. Oh, you mean girls won't be able to sell their bodies online for views and cash? Oh no, so sad. Oh, so you mean people will have to actually have a talent, study and work hard to succeed, rather than just getting pretty and doing TikTok dances and record themselves eating and traveling like if that took any effort? Oh no, so sad. I'm so sad, seriously." Now, this comment is an enormous piece of nonsense. So, let me explain to you what he meant. For this guy, the fact that someone is able to steal your image and, without your consent, use your image to sell pornographic content on OnlyFans or other platforms is a better alternative than women doing OnlyFans voluntarily. Make it make sense. I personally don't consider OnlyFans a form of female empowerment, but it's obvious that one thing is a person making a choice about their own body, and another thing entirely is a person whose image is stolen and used to create pornographic content without their consent. Those are two radically different things. And then the phrase, "Oh, so you mean people will have to actually have a talent, study and work hard to succeed?" is ridiculous in this context, because do we really want to call it talent or hard work to learn in 5 minutes through a guide how to steal someone's image to create pornography? Is this really supposed to be the new ethic of merit? By writing this comment, he is simply making himself look ridiculous. Then there is another comment that says, with all due respect, don't you think that everyone doesn't give a damn? After all, you're just another one of the hundreds of thousands of blogger girls who constantly catch the attention of everyone who occasionally sits in the reels. P.S. With all due respect, Molodoi frère. And my response is, of course you do not care, because at the moment, and I underline at the moment, the avatars being created are almost always women. But do not think that this issue concerns only women or influencers, because what is at stake here is the possibility that anyone's identity can be stolen and used to create pornographic content, compromising content, violent content, illegal content. This concerns everyone. And speaking of that, do you remember our friend Arild, the one who makes money by selling guides, teaching others how to create AI accounts? Well, apparently that is not the only way he profits.
Said it and I'll say it again. Big money never comes clean.
In this video, he shows himself pretending to be a woman in order to get money from men, while also advertising the money he makes in order to convince you to buy his guide, which we talked about earlier. That alone would already be unsettling enough. But the even more absurd part is the way he tries to defend himself. Essentially, he says, all these men are pedophiles anyway, because we are talking about adult men who are attracted to avatars representing very young girls, and this is supposed to be his justification. But this defense doesn't hold up in any way, because if you say, I make money from these men because they believe I'm a real person, so in some way I am tricking them, the reality is that you're not tricking them in the way you want people to believe. You are still feeding that market. You are still providing the kind of materials they are looking for. And we are not even talking about completely abstract or invented images from nothing. We are talking about avatars built on the basis of real people. So no, you cannot defend yourself by saying that you are just deceiving pedophiles. You are contributing to the circulation of material that goes exactly in the direction of their desires. In what way would you be better than them? If you exploit pornography, if you exploit female bodies, if you use images built on real women without their consent, if you feed a market of content that sexualizes extremely young figures, then in what way are you supposed to be on the right side? I don't see any moral superiority in that. I only see a person trying to hide their own self-interest behind an excuse. And yet, even under these videos, there are people who see nothing wrong with it. On the contrary, people in the comments write, so how much in a good month? Please up name. Where can I get it and how much? But let's continue, because there is another video that I want to show you. My wife thinks we're rich from real estate. She doesn't know I have 1.3 million subs on OnlyFans thanks to AI. Here we have another man doing the exact same thing as Arild. Are we really supposed to look at something like this and think that it is brilliant, clever, innovative? Because to me, it just seems horrifying. And here too, of course, there are people in the comments writing things like, I hope this is true, every single paying simp deserves it. Or, I'm trying to find something wrong with this and I can't, let them pay. This is another narrative I find absurd, because you are still contributing to the existence of that system. You are not sabotaging the market, you are not punishing anyone, you are not exposing anything. You are simply making money by selling the product that market demands. If your goal were truly to fight pedophilia, then the fact that 60-year-old men are paying to look at the bodies of minors, of very young girls, should outrage you. But then, how can your response to that outrage possibly be perfect? I will create the images of young girls myself and sell them to them. In what way does that help stop the problem? The answer is in no way whatsoever. The only thing it does is allow you to make money. That's it. So when these people try to defend themselves by saying that they are just draining money from disgusting men, they are telling an obvious lie. They are not doing activism, they are not doing justice, they are not dismantling the system, they are feeding it. Because here we are dealing with someone who sees a problem, understands that it can be monetized, and decides to do exactly that. And then, to feel less dirty, they try to tell themselves and others that they are only targeting people who deserve it. And here we come to yet another case. She doesn't exist, but she pays my rent. There are some comments under this video that I strongly agree with, like this. OnlyFans was only moral when men weren't cashing in, but now that AI has given them a way to profit off other men, it's just an acceptable side gig. Or using women in every way possible, and didn't y'all hate OnlyFans and sex workers so much? Damn. Or men when a woman does OnlyFans, angry emoticons. Men when other men use AI to make OnlyFans, in love emoticons. Y'all are disgusting. Stop using AI to take advantage of women. Mind you, there are hundreds of people with that appearance. Are you going to make porn with their faces? The answer is yes. Obviously. I myself have seen men viciously insult women who had a profile on that platform, or even women who were merely suspected of having one. They call them every possible name, but now that those same men, or at least men like them, can use avatars built on the image of real women and therefore exploit the female bodies of real women for profit, suddenly everything becomes acceptable. And this is where, in my opinion, it becomes even more obvious that all of this is a new form of exploitation of the female body. Because not only you are using the bodies of real women without their consent, but with artificial intelligence you are also making the problem of online pornography and the circulation of extreme content even worse. Because whatever request comes in, if there is a person behind that profile who only wants to make money, that request will be fulfilled. And this is exactly where the fundamental difference lies compared to a real sex worker. A real person can say no. They can have limits. They can say, I won't do that, even if you pay me. They can refuse practices that they consider humiliating, degrading, or violent. But when instead there are men managing female avatars created with AI, that limit disappears. Because the body is not theirs, the face is not theirs, the consequences do not fall on them, and so for money, they will make the avatar do anything. Anything. And this doesn't improve the situation at all. On the contrary, it makes it worse, because it removes those human limits that until now still existed. And in fact, content already exists that pushes all of this into deeply aberrant niche territories. We are talking about avatars with mutilations, open wounds, blood, genetic diseases, and much more. And beyond all of this, of course, there is the enormous issue of child sexual abuse material. Then there is another video. Here the message is, AI is taking our jobs, while he shows his transformation into a girl avatar. Here too, in the comments, you read things like, flood the OnlyFans market, crash it, I support this. And honestly, I find this comment very clever, as it highlights a huge contradiction. I really find funny all the men supporting you after shaming of models for years. I guess you guys only like a woman's sexuality when there's no consent. And I would add something else as well. You also like it when the profits end up in men's hands. Because that is the core of it. As long as women were the ones making money, it was all immoral, degrading, scandalous. Now that men can profit from it, suddenly the practice becomes innovative, clever, even worthy of support. This, to me, says everything. It says everything about the fact that there is no moral cause behind any of this. There is only opportunism. So I'll end the video with something very simple. If you are someone who sees all of this as clever, innovative, harmless, or just an easy way to make money, I really invite you to stop and think more carefully. Not everything that can be done should be done. And making money is not enough to make something acceptable. Using artificial intelligence to deceive people, exploit someone's image, or profit from dynamics this disturbing is not smart and it is not admirable. It's wrong. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next week.